Hello everyone, this video is gonna be the reassembly of the VDO RPM tachometer and hour meter. This came out of a 2011 Bryant 210. I've sourced a replacement LCD. Here's the old one. And when we were disassembling it, the glue that was holding in the ribbon cable came loose. I'll bring this up here where you can see it. I know there's another video on YouTube that shows a similar, not the same, but a similar VDO tachometer hour meter where the guy just replaces the ribbon cable. But in this one, we're going to replace the entire LCD. This one already has the ribbon cable attached to it. You can see here. All right, so let's put it back together. Then we're going to take this plastic bracket that the LCD fits into and reattach it to the circuit board. It just pops right in. And then we're going to take our LCD cable and reattach it to its connector on the board here. Actually, I'll take the board back off the mount real quick. We'll plug it in first. That just slides in with a little pressure. And we've got it snapped back into its housing. And the next step will be to insert the housing back into its housing. Here's the faceplate. Just remount that right here in the center. So I'm going to pull it back out of the white housing until we get everything back on there. There's a little glue on the back of this, so it's adhering back to the mount again. You might have to add a little. Then we're going to take our dial and pop it right back in here. Slide it in, and then we're going to kind of put a little bit of pressure on it and rotate it to screw it back in. There we go. Now we'll insert this back into its housing. got to line up those wire connectors on the back for them to slide into the slots. There we go. And those just come through these holes here. And I believe at this point we can reinsert our 3 Torx screws. I believe they're Torx 10, but I've got a Torx 9 here that fits them. It works. We'll reset our meter back down here to 0. So we're going to seal it up now. This was a waterproof housing that slid into the, just right on the inside of this. Put our glass face back on, and then the bezel. And this was the primary difference between this and the other video that's on YouTube currently about the disassembly. He had a different face on his that allowed him to just twist it off. This particular chrome bezel on this hour meter, tachometer, didn't screw off. It had to be pried off, basically. So I used a pick and a very small flathead screwdriver. And I just kind of went around the outside of this, prying up on it, and then used the pick for some additional prying all the way around until it popped loose. Hello everyone, welcome to the first episode of Pablo's Basement. Today we are going to disassemble and replace an LCD screen for the hour meter of a VDO tachometer out of a 2011 Bryant 210 inboard outboard boat. So the first step of this it has a chrome bezel surrounding it, and I've already taken it loose, but I'm going to show you how I got it off of there. It doesn't twist off. It was molded and kind of bent around this back lip of the meter. And I've got a very small flathead screwdriver that I started with. I just kind of used it to get up under this lip of the chrome, and I pried it up all the way around. Took a good 30 minutes or so. And then I've got a pick, little pick tool here, that I then went and pried for some additional leverage. It's a little longer than that screwdriver, all the way around until I was able to pop that chrome piece loose. Now it does booger up the back side of the chrome a little bit, but that's going to be mounted up against your dash and you can't see it. So that's how that comes off. Then there's a glass face here that just comes right out. And there's also this inside bezel piece that has to be pried out. It's not glued or anything, it slides out, but you just got to get underneath it to get some leverage to begin pulling it up. So I've done that with the flat screwdriver here, and it's going to pop right out. Then we've got to get the needle off, and the needle turns counterclockwise And you pull up on it a little as you're turning, and it will loosen it from its mount. Set that aside here. And then we have 3 T9 Torx screws in the back. Here's our Torx driver. We're going to remove those. And that's going to allow us to just take it out of this plastic housing. Then we need to remove this faceplate, or the face of the tachometer. It's glued down. I just get up underneath it a little bit with the flathead screwdriver and lift until you can get enough leverage to slide maybe a credit card underneath it, or I've got this little plastic pick that I've used to repair cell phone screens. Just get that up under there, use it as a pry tool. Get that piece off. And here's where our LCD sits. Now this is new LCD, I've already put this in. Here's the old one, and it's ribbon cable. Now, when I went to take it apart, that ribbon cable pretty much disintegrated from its contact on this LCD screen. Also, there wasn't a whole lot of room to pry with the flathead screwdriver to get that LCD up, and the only spot was down here in the bottom corner. It's about right in here. But when I did that, it cracked the screen. So we're not going to reuse this one. I just sourced a new screen that already had a cable attached to it. And you basically just pry that out right there, and that comes loose. The LCD cable plugs into this little white connector on the board, and that just slides out. And so that's basically it. Then you go through the reassembly, which I'll show here in a minute. And then you've got a working hour meter again on your VDO tachometer hour meter. All right, so we're under the driver's seat area of our Bryant boat. We've slid our gauge back in, and that's it right there. There's a couple of pieces that connect to it. This goes on. Slide that around. And then there is this piece that screws on to tighten it all down. I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you the wiring. All right, and I'll explain how this was wired. So this connector here is a bulb, and you kind of just pull that straight out. And there was, on the right hand side of mine, the blue wire was on top and the black wire was on the bottom. It's the opposite on the other side for that bulb, black on the top and blue on the bottom. And then my gauge had 3 wires plugged into it. They were all over here on the end, and it was a purple and a black on the bottom, and then that, I don't know what you'd call it, beige looking wire goes into the top above the purple. And there you have it. I'll show you the gauge. And that's the one we changed out right there and plan on taking the boat out tomorrow, so I'll verify that that gauge functions. So I've got our gauge reinstalled and we're going to give it a test here. I'll give it some power. See the RPM meter run the test, and then there's our powers on our screen.